Hello, and welcome to CDO Magazine's interview series. I'm Mark Johnson, editorial board chair for CDO Magazine. I'm also a vice president with Fusion Alliance. I run a portion of our regional operation here out of the Cincinnati market. CDO Magazine has been partnering with MIT CDO IQ and the International Society of Chief Data Officers to bring forward a series of really interesting and insightful interviews with leaders in the data and analytics space. And I'm really honored today to be speaking with Swamy Sriperumbudur, who is president and co-founder of a company that's really leveraging data and analytics technology to drive value right at the core of what the pandemic has introduced for us today. That company is called MapRecruit. Swamy, welcome to the interview series today. Thank you for spending some time with me.
Thank you, Mark. Again, it's good to be back again for the part two. So I'm eager to hear what questions you have. And I think together we are making a lot of progress in giving some insightful data points in this HR industry. Thank you for having me.
Great. So to start the discussion, I want to kind of pick up on a theme that we left off with at the end of our first segment. And if you haven't heard the first segment of this interview, for the folks that are viewing this, I really encourage you to go back and listen to that as well. But I mentioned there's something about the name MapRecruit, and you had kind of concluded in our last segment with really a very good articulation of the workflow automation that is the composite end-to-end process that MapRecruit has really sought to automate and drive value from. But could you tell us a little bit about the name MapRecruit and why the word map is in it? So give us a little insight there.
So we just want to be very, very simple because always being a technology geek, I want to give a simple solution with the better outcomes. And MapRecruit, so the recruit is all about the recruitment because our plan is end-to-end talent acquisition platform using the AI. And because why the map is coming, because we are mapping the core functions. So the first of the function is the job description. So when you have a clear job description, then only, as you know, in the computers, in the data, Mark, I know, garbage in is garbage out. If your input is not correct, your output cannot be correct. Right. So that is where we are saying our first element is find out whether you have a proper job description or not. And that is where we have developed our knowledge graph so that it will go through a lot of the ontology. And we have created so much of deep dive information on each of the different domains to make sure the role, what you're saying is the right role, whether it has all the elements to identify and share that with the customer or the job seeker. So then we created something called a source AI, where you will have all the different elements of the sourcing. What kind of a person we need to really source? What would be the elements of parsing? Like, we have a parsers which will be going through all the parsers of the JD and get all the attributes. So we are coming down to the attribute level rather than taking an entire paragraph, because we are going through this knowledge graph, going to the deep insights of each role, and then finding out what are the attributes you're really looking to identify for the search of those candidates. Mm-hmm. Then we have something called matching and ranking. So when you have suitable resume, but then there are many in number, how do you really see who is really suitable to this particular job description? That is where we have our resume parser, which will connect with our JD parser and look at this attribute level and see, okay, what are the skills you have really looking for and what are the skills this job seeker is looking for. Then we do a matching and ranking. And then we also have something called Engage AI. Once you identify these are the qualified candidates, if you don't engage them right then you are missing the boat. People are gone, right? So that is the Engage AI we are doing. But once you engage them, you need to pre-qualify to make sure whether these are the qualified candidates. And if you do a pre-qualifying using our AI and ML, then you put them in a bucket where hiring managers can do a complete qualifying interview. So that is why if you look at it, the entire workflow process is being mapped in the recruitment process. Then we thought the best is give a wheel of fortune to the recruiters and the job seekers, and that we call it as a MapRecruit.
Wow, that is so powerful. And it's a great overview of the end-to-end technology application that you've incorporated. Embedded at the core of that, and why this is really important, this interview is important to us at CDO Magazine, is the use of artificial intelligence and machine learning technology. And in particular, I want to talk a little bit about the ML side of things from the perspective of the sort of the human machine bias. And, as we know that, I was speaking with another colleague in the industry about bias in data. And if we train machine learning algorithms using historical data sets, and those historical data sets have implicit bias in them in the way that data has been collected and the way decisions have been made that are reflected in that data, then your use of that data to train machine learning algorithms to identify good fit candidates would also, just by empirical implicit bias from the data that trained the models, be biased, and that bias would be perpetuated. So how is MapRecruit avoiding that historical bias that's in the data sets that might be used for training the models that you're using to identify candidates that fit?
Mark, it's a great question, and I would say need of the hour at this time, because everywhere companies are focusing on D&I, diversity and inclusion, and that is where we absolutely can demonstrate how this MapRecruit platform is helping to de-bias and removing all the human and the machine bias from the entire recruitment process and identifying the right candidate. See, as we know, job is an important thing in every working human, because every person wants to work to get some food onto the table. That's why we said there should not be any bias at all, because if you have a bias, then you are already going in a right path. Right. But to avoid that prejudice, we need science, reason, and cooperation to drive out ignorance and bias. So the way we follow is we have conceptually adopting something called white box AI, which means it is fully explainable, reproducible in the similar conditions, and human certified by all the different work requirements. This also helps diversity and inclusion based on the company's direction. So the purpose of evidence-based HR is not to find the right answer through our prejudices. We are dealing with people after all. So the purpose is to use available evidence, research, internal data, analysis, experience, interviews, etc., to find the solution with the highest probability of adding the most value to your organization, because the people are assets, and these people, whoever you are hiring, have to add value to not only just fill in the role, but also have to be fit into your culture, and it also has to enhance your organization outputs. So this is our best hope of mitigating the bias and prejudice inherent to varying degrees in all of us. So the way how we do is we have heterogeneous data, almost like more than millions of jobs from hundreds of job boards and abundant resumes. And then we normalize the bias. And then second, we have applied artificial intelligence to understand the data relations, canonical forms, while deriving the ontology in an unsupervised approach. I'm just specifying unsupervised, because if you are supervised, you're already including the bias in it.
That's exactly right.
We are making it an unsupervised approach. So to make the system continuously learn and create all the patterns based on the data elements what we are giving. And then finally, these algorithms helps derive attributes which are almost 93% accuracy by considering the context while learning from the implicit feedback that users are giving. So it is a completely transparent, completely reproducible based on all the data with the unsupervised learning. Oh, why this pattern is there? Why this person is here? Why this person is African American? Why this person is American? Why this person is this detail? So they are removing all those gender and the racial bias. They're only focusing on this work is forklift operator. How many years of experience of forklift operator you have? You are having a chef, whether the chef is a restaurant chef or whether the chef is from the IT side, the DevOps. If you're looking for a developer, is it an IT developer or not? So focus on the elements which you really want to fill in that particular role, and then gather all this data, whatever I have mentioned, so that you are creating an algorithms and everything is very transparent. So if someone says, okay, why did you hire this person? You have all those explainable AI is able to give you. Your job description is talking about these are the 5 skill sets or 10 skill sets, and this job seeker is best suitable among all the people, because this is the stack ranking. If I have a 550 resumes, out of this 50 resume, this person is best suitable because he or she has all the experiences and the skills, and then all those interview screenings, all the data is available for you to validate.
Yeah, this is really fascinating, and it reminds me of a stint in my professional career where I worked running global IT infrastructure and shared services for Veritas Software, and then for Symantec once we merged in the early 2000s. And I remember, as my directors would bring forth candidates for hiring decisions, the absence of diverse candidates within the selection pool. And as I began to explore why we weren't seeing more inclusion of racial and ethnic and gender based participation in this universe of candidates that were making it through, the answer that I got was we can't find them. That just was never a good answer for me. So I implemented a rule requiring all of our finalists submissions for a job that I would see the final top 3 or 4 candidates, and I required a diversity or gender diverse candidate to be participating in that universe of our decisions. And miraculously, we began to see folks participating. But we also had to work with our HR organization. And one of the things that became sort of painfully clear, which I think is being normalized out because of the pandemic, of this hiring opportunity that your company is really now accelerating, is the fact that the world has gone in many of the job categories virtual. And so now the question of, certainly in the technology industry where I work, the question of where that resource is located, across the country or around the world, has become less and less important. So it really is now a focus on, can this resource do the job effectively? And there's a new set of skills that have emerged for people who work virtually and remotely, which is, can this resource work efficiently in a new virtual and remote culture? And so how is your platform addressing that side of the diversity inclusion equation, which is, being able to not just match on the skill set side of things, on the hard requirements for the job, and also not just match on including diverse candidates by eliminating the bias of name or zip code, location, or whatever the case may be, or college degree, institution, whether it's an HBCU or some other university, and focusing on the skills, but also on the softer side of this candidate's ability to work in a virtual world collaboratively. Is your platform bringing any acceleration to that side of the equation?
No, my platform already has. So I'm glad you asked that question, because first of all, when you are reaching out to all these candidates, you are reaching out in a template of the company. So suppose if XYZ companies, I'm just picking a name, let's say I love always the Tesla. So if Tesla is hiring some company, some people, so it will go into a Tesla saying that, okay, Tesla is looking to hire these people. Are you interested to apply? And then we are giving them all the channels. That itself will tell whether the job seeker is well versed to use all the channels, whether you are using SMS or the WhatsApp or the chat. Let us say I'm using a chatbot, so immediately the chatbot will come in, and then the chatbot is equipped with 105 languages. So irrespective of the job, whether it is a white collar or blue collar, if English is not a mandatory and somebody is speaking Spanish, automatically they can ask a question in Spanish through my chatbot, and then it will start working. It will also tell you how soft skills you are, because you are able to interact with the chatbot. At the same time, if you have been given to a video interview, our platform will help you to schedule, and we have given a complete scheduler so that the hiring managers and availability is already given. So the job seeker can say that, okay, you are already moving to level 2, and then they can see all the dates and times. They can click on the button, automatically you get an invitation, and then there will be multiple people, just like how we are doing this interview through Zoom. Multiple interview will be there without any installation of any software. So the job seeker can see, okay, my video is available. I'm able to speak with multiple people. So it is indirectly invoking the soft skills of the person wherever they are.
That's powerful. That's really powerful. It's fascinating. I guess the last question I have for this segment before we wrap, and we will have a part 3 of this series, which I encourage everyone to come back to if your curiosity has been piqued in the first 2 portions of this, is, how are organizations preparing themselves to really adopt this new HR technology and a platform like MapRecruit? What does an organization need to do to be ready to take advantage of this kind of automation?
See, first of all, every organization has to do the adoption of the HR technology. Otherwise, as we have seen in the industry, many big companies, even though it has 100+ years of industry experience, if they're not adopting the technology, they're absolutely ceased to exist. So it is fundamentally the mindset has to be there for the organization. Technology is there to help you or to accelerate that transformation, what you are going to bring into the thing. So that is the change of the mindset, right? And then, of course, the recruiters who are absolutely working in the various companies are already tech savvy with so many tools are available, because they have to invoke the entire HR department saying that, hey, the data is the key, and then I have to use different tools. So right now, many companies are already adopting the applicant tracking system, and then a lot of the HRIS systems, which are reporting and data gathering. But the only disadvantage is these systems are there since a long time, but they are not giving a proactive approach. It is more on a reactive approach, or it is more like a data gathering. So that is why you really need to know what kind of a transformation, what is your mission of the organization, what is the focus you really want to do. That is very important at the leadership level to define, yes, I want my company to adopt a technology which is very, very deep in dive, which can engage with my employees or the future employees. Because if the engagement concept is not there and you're just creating and using technology per se, just gathering the data elements, it is not going to help. That is why you need to understand what are the new generation tools like MapRecruit, so that we are not really focusing all our recruiters to gather the data and use it, but how cognitively the AI components can come in. So if a recruiter, if I'm hiring from a technology company to a healthcare company, they don't need to go through all that, because the platforms like MapRecruit is able to understand and give the ontology to give them enough information to the recruiter to know about all the vocabulary in that particular industry, so that their main focus is to spend time with the job seeker as well as with the hiring managers to understand what is required. Whereas the new generation platforms like MapRecruit is able to do more than 80 to 90% of the work is completely done, because it has all the data elements are there. So this is where the organization has to think about defining what kind of technology I need to bring in, what is my strength currently in the HR, what kind of recruitment team I have, how much they are tech savvy, because some of the recruiters also are there since last probably 20-30 using the conventional wisdom. They may not like to go into the technology. So there is a change is inevitable in every stage of the recruitment function within an organization before they finalize the tools. Because
Right.
the tools can only do something, but if the person is not adopting the benefits of the tool, it is like, I'm giving you a Ferrari, but you don't know, you want to go in a 20 miles per hour using a Ferrari in a small lanes, it is not going to give you the benefits.
Yeah.
So organization has to do a change management, understand. So it's a very much a cultural shift has to come within the organization in this entire footprint of the entire line of business functions.
So we're gonna stop there, because I want to open segment 3 of this interview with that strategic positioning. And I think it's going to be really a fascinating discussion as we bring the series to a close. Thank you so much again, Swamy, for making some time for me to continue our discussion, which I really have enjoyed. Today, I have had the pleasure of talking with Swamy Sriperumbudur, who is the president and co-founder of MapRecruit. And he's going to share some more insights and a little bit about where organizations are taking advantage of the technology platform. The company's probably very similar to yours in our third segment. If you'd like to learn more about what CDO Magazine is focusing on, or check out some additional insightful interviews, you can find us at cdomagazine.tech. So please join us there. Again, Mark Johnson, editorial board chair for CDO Magazine and regional vice president for Fusion Alliance here in the Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky region of our operation. Take care and have a great day.